Welcome to today's writing lesson. Our learning objective today is to draft a second story arc. Okay. Yesterday we drafted an arc. Today we're going to draft another one. So yesterday we learned that the shape of a story looks something like this. We have things going along, then suddenly things start to go up to a point, they come back down, and they continue on like that. So that's kind of the shape of a story. I want you to pause the video in a moment and think about if you can remember any of the parts of the story. Like, what are we talking about this shape? What is this part down here called, or what does it mean? Okay. In fact, I would like you to get out your whiteboard, draw the shape, and see how many parts you can write in right now. Pause the video and do that, please. Okay, so this, the beginning is called exposition. And exposition just means kind of setting up the story. What is the beginning? What's going on before the story starts to kick off? What are the things that the reader needs to know before they read? Next up is the rising action. Rising action means there's a problem. Something is happening that is making things get intense. Someone is having to decide something or do something or act in a way that they don't normally act. Next up is the climax of the story. The climax is where things get really involved. It's where the tension of the story, the drama, is the most intense. After the climax of the story, we have falling action. Things start to chill out a little bit. The problem starts to get solved. And then at the end of the story, we have what's called the resolution. The resolution is just the ending. How does everything get wrapped up? Okay, I've got a familiar story here that we can kind of map onto the big arc of a story. These are the three little pigs, the 5 parts of the Three Little Pigs story. So let's get our story arc here. All right, so exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. So which of these pieces is the start of the story? Which is the piece that we need to know as the story begins before it starts to get really interesting? Pause the video and take a look at the 5 pieces. I'm going to read all of them so you can pause the video after I read them. The wolf tries to blow the third house down and fails. The wolf climbs the chimney and falls in the third pig's boiling pot. The third pig eats the wolf for supper. 3 pig brothers build houses out of straw, sticks, or bricks, and a wolf comes along and asks to come in the houses. He blows the first 2 down and eats the pigs. Which of those is the thing I need to start the story, the thing I need to know before the start of the story? Pause the video and see if you can figure it out. So the start of the story, the thing I need to know before anything else is that there's 3 pig brothers. Okay, I don't even have a wolf yet. It's just the setup for the story. Next up, the rising action. What is kind of creating the drama of the story? Like a new character enters, things get difficult and weird, there's a problem, right? What's the problem in the story? The problem in our story is that there's a wolf who comes along and he wants into each house, right? And he starts blowing the houses down and eating the pigs. So that's the problem. What's the climax? Where do things get really dramatic and interesting in the Three Little Pigs? Well, that would be when the wolf gets to the third pig house, the one made out of bricks, and he can't blow it down. That's the big drama, right? The problem has really come to a head, and what is the wolf going to do next? That's what we want to know. The falling action would be kind of how the problem starts to play out, how it starts to be resolved. And that would be the wolf climbs the chimney and falls in the third pig's boiling pot. So the problem kind of solves itself here. The wolf can't get in, so he tries to go in the chimney. And the resolution is just the ending. What happens at the very end? Well, the third pig eats the wolf for supper. All right, so your task today is to draft a new story arc. You have a story arc from yesterday. I'd like you to try doing another one for the same story. So take a look at your old story arc and put a new entry underneath in your writer's journal. Your writer's journal had 827, today is 828. We're going to need new pieces for each one of these. So you can start by rewriting or even just copying and pasting your items from yesterday. So let's copy these and we can paste them down here to save ourselves a little time. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and select, get rid of the actual pieces here because we're going to draft a new set. So I want you to think about your last pieces and how you can make them different, more interesting. Your second chance here is a way to kind of get creative and see if you can come up with a better, more interesting story than yesterday. Maybe your story yesterday will turn out better, but you're going to give yourself a chance to get creative here. So yesterday we said my character is in the market buying food. Let's mix it up and say my character is upset about her missing father, right? So at the beginning of the story, she's missing her father. That's the thing we need to know. So we got that detail. Now let's just think about logically what's going to come next. We need to involve pirates somehow. This character is a pirate or is involved with pirates. So let's say they're rising action. What's the problem that starts off the story? Well, but she finds out her father is a pirate. So that's kind of the thing that sets off the story. What's going to be the big climax? How is that problem going to come together? She could meet her father in some way and join his crew, or get kidnapped and find out that her father doesn't really like being a pirate. How are we going to get her together with the pirates? I'm going to say she pretends to be a pirate. And sneaks on her father's ship. So there's the climax. She's on the father's ship. It's very dramatic. She's pretending she's in danger. So how do we kind of resolve that? We can either have her father get involved in a good way or maybe a bad way. Maybe her father turns out to not be such a good guy and she wishes she hadn't come. Let's look at her traits and see if there's anything there. So she ends up with a peg leg because she's a coward. She's stinky and she has crooked teeth. So I'm thinking at some point she needs to either get a peg leg in this process or have to explain her peg leg. Let's say that the falling action is she has an accident and loses her leg. And now the pirates like her. And then maybe at the end she tells her dad who she really is, and they just become pirates together. Who she is. They become a pirate family. How about that? Cool. So I don't know if that's necessarily better or worse than my first set here, but at least it's different, right? I gave myself another chance to write an interesting plot line before I start the story. It's always good to give yourself another chance and to revise before you write. So today, I want you to make a second story map with exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. And I want you to do that in your writer's journal.